incredibly fast but also technically challenging, Snetterton played host to round 2 of the Dunlop Endurance Championship. The teams arrived here in Norfolk off the back of 2 entertaining races from the season opener at Silverstone. Theo on board as the Mosler gets the race and the season underway. Darren Lewis homing in on his teammate Tom Barley. This is for second in Class 3, finds a gap and again down the inside into Village. And this is for third place. It's absolutely neck and neck. It's the blue Ferrari of Dino Zamparelli up the inside of Nigel Hudson's Aston Martin. Oh, and that going very slowly down the Hanger Straight is Graham Lucking, number 4 in the FF Course Ferrari, which Lane Clark had taken from the back of the field, was running up in 7th place. Now we go on board with Simon Rudd in the Team Harginetta, trying to find a way past his teammate Tom Knight. They are 2nd and 3rd in the Class 3, and they're about to go side by side after nearly 50 minutes of racing. It's still neck and neck. On board with Tom Knight. He can't do anything but watch his teammate glide past. And there is your race leader, Dino Zamparelli, managed to find a way past the Manuel Fintrano Mosler with a couple of laps to go and has already charged well clear of it. So there in 2nd place is the Neil Garner Motorsport Mosler, but it's going to be 2nd place here because the flag comes out and it's a win for Dino Zamparelli and Mike Wilds, and they're in the background taking the checkered flag to win the sprint class. Tremendous drive from Ed Moore for Topwood Motorsports. On to the start of lap number 3, we've got a new race leader. Callum Lockie in the red FF Course Ferrari has moved ahead now of the JMH Aston Martin being driven by Adam Wilcox. But an early retirement, I'm afraid, for the Woodard Mini, which stopped after just 4 laps. And smoke coming from the back of the SG Racing Porsche of the Cunninghams. That is currently leading Class 3 and does not look healthy. And this is Dave Bennett in the Bespoke Cars Porsche going slowly, and I reckon with a right rear puncture. Yes, so he's had a problem there. And here for the final time into the same part of the course comes Ed Moore. It's been another supreme drive for the teenager, and Topwood Motorsports are going to take victory for the 2nd time today in the sprint category. This is Rob Hudson struggling to get the car fired up, so he is cruising off the road, and I'm afraid after going well, he's into retirement. We've still got this titanic battle going on for the Class 3 leader. Now Daniel Wiley's number 11 machine ahead, just of the 285 Tommy Knight car. Tommy, though, gets a better run coming out through Club and snatches the place back. And more drama. The race-leading Aston Martin has had to serve a drive-through penalty. So there is the new race leader. It's the red Johnny Molan Ferrari for FF Course. The Class 3 leader, Simon Rudd, is just ahead of him. The checkered flag is readied. And for the 2nd time today, it is a Class 2 FF Course Ferrari that wins. Bonamy Grimes and Johnny Molan. And into the gravel trap right at the end of the race. That's Tommy Knight, who had coming together with his teammate in that Class 3 battle. Despite rebuilding their Ginetta following a big crash at the end of 2016, Topwood Motorsports won the sprint category in both races at Silverstone.
We were still rebuilding it the night before it was out at Silverstone. We didn't really manage to get a chassis till last minute. As I say, it was sort of last minute, and going out and doing as well as that, we didn't really expect, if I'm honest. But yeah, as I say, there's only me in the car. This is the last round, there'll only be me in the car. I've got a teammate Marmaduke Hall, he's joining me as of next round. So yeah, it's been good fun, just getting used to it, ready for when Marmaduke sort of joins us.
One of the new teams contesting the endurance category this season is Eureka Motorsport. Their Class 4 BMW driven by Rob Hudson and experienced Brazilian Adriano Medeiros.
I've done 2 years in prototypes. I'm twice Classic Formula 4 champion. I won races in European NASCAR. I won races in GT Trophy in a Porsche 996. So I've got a few races under my belt, as well as I've been working as an instructor for 14 years now.
And Rob, what's brought you to Britcar then?
I bought myself a track car, I think it was about 4 years ago, when I met Adriano. So we started very simply with an old year 2000 BMW E46 328 that I think cost me 800 quid. After 2 years of tuition with Adriano, I felt I was ready to progress into a race car. So I purchased this car 2 years ago now. We ran it last season. We raced in the Britcar Sprint Series, the production series. We brought home, a reasonable amount of silverware, and I started to get used to the car. And that's really where we are now. So hopefully, should be a good season for us.
Seasoned Britcar outfit Synchro Motorsport have brought their Class 5 Honda Civic out for the first time this season. Their focus very much on long-distance endurance racing.
We tend to do the 24-hour series races. We won the one in end of March, April at Silverstone. We won the class there, so we were really pleased with that one. We've had a few other podiums in other places, Barcelona last year. And your Class 5, tell us what that kind of involves, Class 5. What kind of specs do the cars run at?
Our car is very much a standard road car. It's a completely standard engine, transmission. We put new dampers and race brakes and pads on it. Apart from that, it's very much a standard car. But we just want to experiment really and see, for when we're looking at the endurance and the 24-hour stuff, that what we understand of the car and we know where we're progressing with it from there.
A 30-minute qualifying session would determine the starting grid for the first race of the day. And there was a positive start for the Class 2 FF Course Ferrari of Graham Lucking and Leighton Clark. Sixth fastest, no doubt a welcome result after issues in qualifying at Silverstone and a Race 1 retirement had meant they'd had to start both of their previous races from the back of the grid. Their teammates and winners of Race 1 at the Silverstone season opener, Mike Wilds and Dino Zamparelli, qualified 5th overall with a time of 1 minute 51.1 seconds. They missed the second row of the grid by just 0.2 of a second, with 4th place going to David Mason and Callum Lockie in the Class 1 Ferrari 458 Challenge, also run by FF Course. 0.4 quicker with the best time of 1 minute 50.5 seconds was the Class 2 Ferrari of Bonamy Grimes and Johnny Molam, securing Class 2 pole and in the process claiming the fastest ever lap around the circuit in a challenge spec car. However, there was a big gap to the top two, who both got down into the 1 minute 48s. The JMH Automotive Aston Martin Vantage of Nigel Hudson and Adam Wilcox qualified second with a 1 minute 48.7. But almost half a second quicker, with a 1 minute 48.3, was the MJC Limited Ferrari 458 GTE of Whit Gamsky and Ross Wiley. So this is how the top 10 qualified for Race 1, with the Ferraris well suited to the Snetterton 300 circuit and filling 6 of the top 7 places on the grid.
Through turn 1, certainly through Coram, it's quite a scary corner and you've really got to rely on the aero. Mechanical grip, obviously you can feel what the car's doing, but when the aerodynamics start getting involved, it's quite a numb feeling. So it's just all about having the trust and just really sending the car into the corner and hoping for the best. So yeah, good.
After qualifying, our reporter Chris McCarthy also spoke to Callum Hawkins-Rowe and Angus Dudley, the youngest driver pairing on the grid.
So Callum, you're 16 years old, brand new to the championship. Tell us what it's been like so far in your first race.
I'm feeling quite comfortable with the team, with the car, really settling into a good groove. I've got a great partner in Angus Dudley beside me. And yeah, you mentioned the fact I was 16. I don't see that the age is too much of an issue. To me, it's just a great opportunity to develop my skills at a younger age. And it's just about taking skills that I've learned previously from other years and implementing them into this car.
And how is it driving this car, this Jeanette car, around Snetterton?
It's unbelievable. The speed of this car is ridiculous. I mean, the first corner is my favourite on the whole track. It's down from 6th gear into 4th, and it's a short break and back on the power. It's quite a feeling. You get to really understand the air and the grip on these things.
The first of the day's 2 races would be a 50-minute sprint featuring a mandatory pit stop, and off the rolling start it was the MJC Ferrari that converted pole position into the lead, with Whit Gamsky behind the wheel for the opening stint. The JMH Automotive Aston Martin of Nigel Hudson is closest rival as they exited turn 1 at Riches, only for the number 7 FF Course Ferrari of Callum Lockie to snatch second as they negotiated the Montreal hairpin for the first time. But there would be early drama as Hudson's Aston clipped Gamsky's Ferrari at the end of lap 1, suddenly handing Lockie a healthy lead as they came back onto the centre straight. The Aston survived but lost momentum, giving the 22 Ferrari of Jamie Stanley a better run going into Riches. Pole sitter Gamsky quickly recovered from his spin, but the number 43 Ferrari still found itself down in 15th place at the end of lap 1. Just behind, there was an intense early battle between the Class 3 Porsche Cayman of Rick Nevison and the Class 5 Honda Civic of Alan James, the latter gaining a place once the dust had settled. James also putting clear of his main Class 5 rival, Daniel Woodard, in the John Cooper Works Mini. Sadly, there was an early retirement for expected Class 3 frontrunners Toby Byrne and Daniel Wiley in the number 11 Team Hard Ginetta. and an early spin for the Class 2 BMW of Mike Moss, from which he was able to recover. By lap 4, Callum Lockie had built a 7-second lead, but with Nigel Hudson now back up to second in the Aston, and Jamie Stanley's Ferrari third, but still comfortably leading Class 2. Mike Wilds led a trio of FF Course Ferraris in the battle for fourth, with Bonamy Grimes and Leighton Clark right behind. The trio ran nose to tail into the Montreal hairpin, with Grimes having to brake as late as he dared to fend off the number 4 Ferrari of Clark, and then getting the car sideways as he unleashed his 458 power unit. Just behind in 7th place, the SG Racing Porsche, Mark Cunningham doing an excellent job and leading Class 3. At mid-distance, the leaders pitted, with David Mason taking over from Callum Lockie and Laurent Demuze taking control of the 22 Ferrari from Jamie Stanley. These Ferraris also the top 2 in the sprint category, Ed Moore running 4th in this category despite fuel pump issues. The Team Hard Ginetta of Tom Barley ran 2nd in Class 3 behind the Mark Cunningham Porsche, but was only a few seconds clear of teammate Angus Dudley in the 33 car, with Darren Lewis and Tom Knight completing a trio of Team Hard Ginettas running close behind and 4th in class. Running together on track, the Whitebridge Motorsport Aston Martin and the Eureka Motorsport BMW, both about to be lapped by pro driver Andrew Bentley, who'd taken over the 23 Ferrari from Mark Brough. Meanwhile, the JMH Aston quickly moved into the overall race lead following the pit stops, with experienced GT racer Adam Wilcox in search of the team's first win of the year. As former race leader David Mason slipped down the order in the number 7 Ferrari, the always rapid Johnny Molam had now moved up to 2nd overall, as well as being the Class 2 leader. Dino Zamparelli had taken over the number 9 Ferrari from Mike Wilds and ran 4th, but with the recovering number 43 MJC Ferrari of pole sitter Ross Wiley back up to 5th after the car's lap 1 spin. And the battle for the Class 3 lead was hotting up as Simon Rudd charged after Peter Cunningham in the Porsche. Rudd and teammate Tom Barley in search of their 3rd straight class win. Tense times for Jamie Stanley on the pit wall. Teammate Laurent Demuze had now guided the number 22 Ferrari into the sprint category lead, ahead of the number 7 Ferrari of David Mason, but they were both now being reeled in by pro driver Andrew Bentley in the number 23 Ferrari. With just 4 minutes remaining on the clock, Rudd was now right on the tail of Cunningham for the Class 3 lead. The Ginetta closing up into Agostini, and as the Porsche struggled for traction, Rudd seized his opportunity on the exit. At FF Course, all eyes were on the timing screens as 2 of their Ferraris fought for victory in the sprint category. Bentley now up to 2nd, 2 seconds a lap quicker than Demuze and poised to pass, but with just over a lap to go. Septuagenarian David Mason was now 3rd in category, and thundering down towards Brundle for one final time was the Aston Martin GT3 of Adam Wilcox, on course for the overall victory in only its 3rd outing, having already come close to a win in the previous race at Silverstone until a late race penalty had thwarted their chances. And it could barely have been closer for 2nd place, with the number 43 Ferrari of Ross Wiley piling the pressure on Johnny Molam, who was once again punching above the weight of his Class 2 topping Ferrari. Molam would hang on to finish 2nd as the JMH Automotive Aston crossed the line to make it 3 different winners from the first 3 races of the championship, while Red and Barley, Hudson and Medeiros and James and Wheeler all won their respective classes. After the race, Nigel Hudson told us about his lap 1 collision with the MJC Ferrari.
I think that I was quite a bit quicker than him at the time, and so I really caught up with him very quickly into that hairpin. And 1 minute I thought he was going to stay out and let me go, and then decided he wasn't. But because we were going so slow around the right, it just meant that even though I was breaking out of it, I thought there was sufficient room for him to go. It was the gentlest of touches, but it was just enough. Obviously, we were all on cold tyres to just push him round.
I did a great first stint, so I didn't have that much to do. So I just kind of, wouldn't say cruised it home, but just did what I had to get the car back, really. So yeah, it was good.
In the sprint category, Andrew Bentley and Mark Brough took a terrific win after Bentley found a way past Demuze on the very last lap.
It's a bit surreal to say we've never been here before, but I say we got here this morning, thankfully did well in practice, did well in qualifying, and it's just come together for us.
And you didn't get long in practice, you must have only got a handful of laps.
Well, fully up, I think we got 3 laps because we had a puncture. So it gets worse, you know, but luckily enough it worked well. The team have done fantastic with the car as per normal, and it just came together, you know what I mean, which is great.
The Dunlop Endurance Championship cars were back on track for the second race of the day, a 2-hour enduro, where Nigel Hudson's Aston Martin started from pole after winning race 1. He was followed into turn 1 by no fewer than 5 Ferraris, headed by the number 5 example of Bonamy Grimes, both teams now having taken 1 win apiece in the championship. And in Class 3, Angus Dudley and Tom Barley were running nose to tail as the Team Hard teammates accelerated out of the Montreal hairpin. A frustrating day for the Woodard Racing organisation was capped with a recurring wheel issue that put them out of action, and on lap 2 a spin for Mike Wilds in his Ferrari 458, which would drop him from 8th to 14th. The sprint category teams would only contest the first 50 minutes of the race, points leader Ed Moore running 3rd. And not for the first time, Alan James in the Honda and Rick Neverson in the Porsche were enjoying a good early dice. By lap 3, Callum Lockyer had moved into the sprint category and overall lead from 7th on the grid. Hudson's Aston 2nd, but still heading the endurance class. And it was still as close as you like for 2nd in Class 3, with Angus Dudley narrowly fending off outright championship leader Tom Barley. One of the key stories then became Mike Wilds' excellent recovery following his early spin. This pass on Graham Lucking getting him back up to 7th place. 3rd overall and heading Class 2 was the Bonamy Grimes and Johnny Molan Ferrari. But with the success penalty times accrued, they would have to spend 20 to 25 seconds longer in the pits than their class rivals. After relentless pressure, Tom Barley was finally able to get past Angus Dudley for 2nd in Class 3, thanks to a stronger exit from Agostini. At the 30-minute mark, there was a delay for Bonamy Grimes, who lost 18 seconds on lap 15, though he retained 3rd place. Problems too for the Race 1 sprint category winners, as Andrew Bentley pitted with gearbox selection problems. Running well and spitting flames in a spectacular way was the Class 4 Eureka Motorsport entry, but the BMW of Mike Moss Motorsport was no longer running.
We was actually going quite well in that race, but unfortunately Mike was driving, he reported the steering got a little bit heavy. Struggling to get the car to turn in, so brought it into the pits, and we've had a bit of a problem with the power steering. The rack's just blown a seal, which is just one of them things. So it's it's not a quick fix, so it's game over unfortunately for us. But we'll be back at the next one, and hopefully we'll have it all running sweet as an up.
The Ginetta of Darren Lewis ran 4th in Class 3, while the Mike Wilds Speedy Recovery Programme for early race spinners was working wonders. He was now pressing Wittgamski for 4th place overall. Pro drivers Johnny Molam and Dino Zamparelli in the white suit were getting ready for battle as the sprint category teams completed their 50 minutes, with the ever-impressive Jamie Stanley about to take the flag after passing David Mason. Staying out for the full 2 hours and leading the endurance class was the JMH Aston Martin, which looked strong but would have an extra 10 seconds in the pits than the MJC Ferrari, thanks to success time penalties from their win and other strong results. In race 1, the Cunninghams had picked up a 30-second penalty for undercutting their pit stop time and had dropped to 3rd in Class 3, but they were now leading this one comfortably, and with the Tom Barley, Simon Rudd Ginetta's success time penalties giving them an extra 30 seconds in the pits. Meanwhile, the 285 Ginetta of Darren Lewis and Tom Knight had leapfrogged the Angus Dudley Callum Hawkins Rose sister car for 3rd in class, as Chris McCarthy caught up with Tom Barley.
Talks about the move, I think it was down at Agostini, wasn't it? You got him.
I wasn't a lot quicker than him, to be honest, and I thought the only way I'm going to get by is if he just outbrakes himself or something, and it was really good fun sitting on his bumper for about 3 or 4 laps. He made a slight error. I got round the outside of him, and that was the move done, but great driving by himself, and I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
And confirmation of the sprint category results, with Lauren Demuse and Jamie Stanley becoming the 3rd different winners from 4 races.
You know, there's a sort of, obviously, combination of talent here. I am trying my best not to give Jamie too much of a hard work for the second part. So my objective was to make sure he had a position where he could build momentum, and as it happened, it was enough for him to then take the win.
And Jamie, heading back out onto the track, did you feel comfortable that the win was in sight for you?
Yeah, I knew we had the pace in the car. You know, the car was a very good car. FF turned out a very good car, so we had the pace to do it. And just had to try and catch Andrew and Mark in our sister car. So they had a bit of a problem, I think, and we managed to catch them down and eventually caught David up with a couple of laps remaining as well. So it was good, took the flag, quite comfortable. But all credit to Laurent, you know, he's only in his 2nd or 3rd race meeting, and to go away with a win, he should be very proud of himself.
The Whitebridge Motorsport Aston of Chris Murphy was 5th in Class 3, while Simon Rudd unlapped himself from the Porsche of class leader Peter Cunningham. He now had 40 minutes to claw back a 1-lap deficit, as problems developed for Dino Zamparelli's Ferrari.
We've got a bit of a long pedal. Dino's having a bit of trouble with getting the car stopped as well as it should, so we thought we'd take the opportunity of the pit stop that we needed to do anyway to have a quick look, see if there's any issues or anything we could do.
The consistently high-performing Synchro Motorsport team ran an impressive 11th overall in the Civic Type R. And up front, Ross Wiley and Johnny Molan were only seconds apart for the overall lead, having both passed the Aston Martin during the pit stop period. Into retirement, though, for the Zamparelli Wilds Ferrari. That left Leighton Clark with a clear run to second place in Class 2. Meanwhile, 2 Ferraris for the lead had now become 1 after Molam had to pit for a late splash and dash of fuel. Tom Knight still headed Callan Hawkins' row, but carried a 5-second penalty for a pit stop infringement, so the positions would reverse for 3rd in class. And for the class lead, Rudd had somehow clawed back that 1-lap deficit, assisted by the fact that Cunningham's Porsche had lost 30 seconds somewhere on one of the previous laps. Rudd through and on course for an unlikely victory. So a terrific job by the MJC Ferrari squad as Ross Wiley rounded Murray's for the final time and took the checkered flag. 4 races, 4 different winners, and the championship wide open. Here's confirmation of the top 6 and our various class winners.
Witt done a great job. I was quite proud of the pace he was putting in. He's just progressed, slowly each session this weekend. First time with the new configuration. So I think really all the hard work was down to him, and I just had to manage the pace at the end and bring it home. But really enjoyed it.
After Ross did a couple of laps, we saw how the car was going, and he was very relaxed in the car. He just drove, brilliantly. He was just asleep in the car. It was amazing. I loved it.
A 4th consecutive class win for Tom Barley and Simon Rudd, but where did Peter Cunningham lose that time in the closing laps?
Unfortunately, I snatched the break going into Richie's. Had a simple spin up there, but that was to lose enough time for the Ginetta guys to catch us up. So, yep, my mistake, and we could have picked up first today.
I think today showed that we can take it to the Ginettas. The Ginettas, may not have the outright pace of us, but they're consistent. So over a long run, they can pull us back in. So it's good. It's a good fight really at the moment, I think.
So this is how it stands in the Dunlop Endurance Championship. Rudd and Barley lead, but with Grimes and Molam second in the points despite some late race problems.
We had a few problems after the pit stop because we had a fuel pump go in the engine, so we were really struggling towards the end there, but Johnny just managed to kind of get it restarted, and we brought it home.
The 2017 Britcar season has so far produced some excellent endurance racing. Join us next time for round 3, which comes from Silverstone.